Everything you're about to see is real, but before this documentary ends, your brain will lie to you. Not once, not twice, but several times. And the most surprising part, you probably won't even notice. Right now, your brain is doing something extraordinary. It's deciding what to show you and what to ignore. You probably believe you're seeing the world exactly as it is. But what if that's not true? What if the reality you experience every day is actually a carefully constructed version, built inside your own mind? Take a moment and look around the room you're in. It feels complete, stable, perfectly detailed. But your brain isn't processing every object equally. It's making choices, filtering information, predicting what comes next, filling and missing details, all in a fraction of a second, without asking your permission. Imagine driving home after work. You arrive safely. You park the car. Then suddenly, you realize you barely remember the journey. Did you stop at every traffic light? Did someone overtake you? What songs were playing? You don't know, not because you weren't paying attention, but because your brain quietly switched into one of its most efficient modes. It handled thousands of decisions automatically while allowing your conscious mind to wander. Now consider something even stranger. Have you ever searched everywhere for your keys, only to discover they were right in front of you the entire time? Or mistaken a complete stranger for someone you know? Or remember a conversation, only for someone else to insist it never happened that way? Those aren't unusual mistakes. They're clues that reveal something remarkable about the human mind. Scientists have spent decades studying these everyday illusions. What they've discovered is both fascinating and unsettling. Your brain isn't trying to create a perfect picture of reality. It's trying to create the most useful one. It doesn't record life like a video camera. It builds reality, moment by moment, using expectations, past experiences, predictions, and educated guesses. Most of the time, that system works brilliantly. But sometimes, it makes mistakes. And those mistakes reveal how your mind truly works. Over the next few minutes, you'll witness experiments that fooled thousands of people, discover memories that never happened, see objects that seem to change before your eyes, and learn why confidence is not the same as accuracy. By the end of this investigation, you may never completely trust your own brain again. Before we go any further, let's try something. Look around the room you're in. Take just 5 seconds. Notice as many objects as you can. Ready? Now, without looking again, what color were the shoes you wore yesterday? How many doors are in the room around you? Can you remember the exact position of every object on your desk? Probably not. And that's completely normal. Your brain was never designed to remember everything. If it tried, you would be overwhelmed every second of every day. Instead, it performs one of the greatest acts of efficiency in nature. It filters, it predicts, it simplifies. Every second, your eyes receive an astonishing amount of visual information, millions of tiny details, colors, shapes, movement, light, shadows, textures. If your conscious mind processed every one of them equally, even walking across a room will become impossible. So your brain makes a decision. It keeps what matters and quietly throws away the rest. Think of your brain as the world's most advanced film editor. It cuts unnecessary scenes, removes background noise, smooths over missing information, then presents you with a finished version of reality. So convincing, you rarely question it. But here's the remarkable part. Your brain doesn't just process the present, it predicts it. Long before you're consciously aware of what's happening, your brain is making educated guesses about what you're about to see, hear, and experience. Most of the time, those predictions are incredibly accurate. They're one of the reasons you can catch a ball, recognize a friend's face in a crowded street, or finish someone's sentence before they do. Yet every prediction carries a risk. Sometimes, your brain guesses wrong. And when that happens, reality becomes surprisingly easy to misinterpret. You may see movement that never occurred, hear words that were never spoken, or become convinced you've noticed everything around you, when, in fact, you've missed something obvious. Those mistakes aren't flaws. They're windows into the hidden machinery of the human mind. Scientists call this idea predictive processing. Rather than waiting for information to arrive, the brain constantly builds a model of the world, then compares reality against that model. Most of the time, the differences are tiny. Your predictions are confirmed. Life feels seamless. But when prediction and reality briefly fall out of sync, the illusion begins to crack. And that's when the brain reveals how it really works. In the next experiment, you'll discover something even more surprising. A memory you may be absolutely certain is true could have been created by your own mind without you ever realizing it. Do you know that your brain can lie to you? Now, let's discuss why your brain tells lies to you every day. Think back to your 5th birthday. Can you picture the room, the people, the decorations, the cake? Perhaps you can. But here's the unsettling question. How much of that memory is actually real? And how much has your brain quietly rewritten over the years? Most people imagine memory as a video recording, a perfect archive stored somewhere inside the brain, waiting to be replayed whenever we need it. But that's not how memory works. In fact, neuroscientists have discovered something remarkable. Every time you remember an event, you don't simply replay the memory. You rebuild it, piece by piece, moment by moment, like reconstructing a puzzle from scattered fragments. Imagine reading your favorite book. Now imagine that every time you close it, a few words change, a sentence disappears, a new detail quietly appears. At first, the changes are almost impossible to notice. But after years of reading the same book, it has become a different story. That's surprisingly similar to how human memory works. Every act of remembering is also an act of editing. Scientists call this memory reconsolidation. When a memory is recalled, it briefly becomes flexible again before being stored once more. During that brief window, new information, emotions, conversations, even suggestions from other people can subtly influence what is remembered later, without you ever realizing it. Researchers have demonstrated this effect in carefully designed experiments. Participants watch the same event. Later, some were asked slightly different questions. A single change in wording influenced what many people confidently remembered. Some recalled details that were never present. Others became certain they had seen objects that simply didn't exist. The memories felt completely genuine, but they were inaccurate. Perhaps the most surprising discovery of all is that confidence tells us very little about accuracy. People can feel absolutely certain about a memory and still be mistaken. That doesn't mean they're dishonest. It means memory isn't designed to be a perfect recording. It's designed to help us make sense of the world. This has profound consequences. Eyewitness testimony has helped solve countless crimes. But decades of research have also shown that eyewitness memories can sometimes be influenced by stress, the passage of time, or even the questions asked afterward. That's why many investigators now support procedures designed to reduce unintentional influence during interviews. Not because witnesses are unreliable people, but because memory is a reconstructive process. So why would evolution create a memory system that changes? Because perfect accuracy isn't always the brain's highest priority. Flexibility is. Your memories help you learn, adapt, predict, and prepare for the future. Sometimes that means preserving the meaning of an experience rather than every tiny detail. The next time you confidently remember a conversation, a childhood event, or where you left your keys, ask yourself one question. Am I remembering what truly happened or the version my brain rebuilt over time? Because if memory itself can change, what else about reality might your brain be quietly rewriting? That question leads us to one of the most astonishing demonstrations in psychology. Not a memory experiment, a visual one. An experiment that proves you can completely miss something even when it's right in front of your eyes. Before we continue, let's try another experiment. This time, I want you to pay close attention. In a moment, you'll see several people passing a basketball. Your task is simple. Count how many times the players wearing white shirts pass the ball to one another. Ready? Focus carefully. Don't look away. Did you get the number? Most people feel confident they did. But here's the real question. Did you notice the person in the gorilla suit walking straight to the middle of the scene? If you didn't, you're not alone. In one of the most famous psychology experiments ever conducted, many participants became so focused on counting passes that they completely failed to notice something extraordinary happening in plain sight. Not because they weren't paying attention, but because they were paying attention. Scientists call this phenomenon inattentional blindness. When your brain concentrates on one task, it can completely overlook other information, even if that information seems impossible to miss. Think about that for a moment. The gorilla wasn't hidden. It wasn't transparent. It wasn't moving too quickly. It was standing directly in front of people's eyes. Yet, many never saw it. Not because their eyes failed, but because their brain decided it wasn't important. This reveals something extraordinary. Vision doesn't happen only in your eyes. It happens in your brain. Your eyes collect information. Your brain decides what deserves your attention. Everything else may simply disappear from your conscious awareness. Now, let's make the challenge even harder. Imagine you're talking to a friend in a crowded train station. For just a moment, two people carrying a large object walk between you. During that brief interruption, your friend is secretly replaced by someone else. Would you notice? Most people are certain they would. Yet when psychologists performed a version of this experiment, many participants continued the conversation without realizing the person standing in front of them had changed. Scientists call this change blindness. Your brain assumes the world remains stable. So unless something captures your attention, even surprisingly large changes can go unnoticed. The same thing happens every single day. As you read, walk, drive, or scroll through your phone, your brain constantly fills in missing details. It predicts, simplifies, edits, not because it's careless, but because processing every detailed reality would require an impossible amount of energy. Efficiency always comes first. Accuracy comes second. Perhaps the most remarkable part is this. You almost never notice these shortcuts. Your experience of the world feels complete, continuous, reliable, yet behind the scenes, your brain is making thousands of decisions every second. Decisions about what to keep, what to ignore, and what to invent, without ever telling you, which raises an unsettling possibility. If your eyes can completely miss something that's directly in front of you, what else might your brain be quietly changing? The answer takes us into one of the internet's most famous mysteries, a mystery shared by millions of people around the world, a phenomenon known as the Mandela effect.